Hey guys! Instead of a video today, I decided actually to make a live broadcast and to use it as the announcement for the live broadcast Abel and I am going to do this Saturday. Because both of us have spoken about this topic, overeating, for a pretty long time. He has some really cool videos on this topic, so check it out on his channel. And I think it's a very important topic. So I wanted just to talk about it a bit and tell you what will actually expect you this Saturday. And what we're doing, we're actually also preparing a worksheet which you can use, which you can download for free, and to figure out what situations cause you trouble. Why are you likely to overeat if you come to the situations that make you overeat? For example, what foods are the triggers, or what certain situations are the triggers? And we will be also speaking about our lives and to give you examples, what, for example, for both of us caused overeating in the past. And it's also about to understand that not all of us are perfect, or actually no one is perfect. Even if you have like the super perfect diet and you're on track all the time, there can be some really stressful situations in your life that can cause you overeating. For example, now I decided to move, so I'm going to leave England. And I had already my perfect diet. So I knew when I should eat what, and absolutely kind of everything was adjusted to my preferences, to my lifestyle, to basically everything. It worked amazingly. And now, before I decided to leave, I just decided not to buy any of my stocks anymore. So I don't waste any products. And now I run kind of out of anything, so I need to get foods I don't usually eat or don't know, and have to decide on a daily basis what to get. And my diet got so much messier. And here actually you can see the first principle. You have to know what to do. You have to have a plan. And if you want to stay on track for a long time, you should definitely have a plan you need to follow. And then, of course, you have to have the motivation and willpower to follow your plan. And willpower is another really interesting topic I look into at the moment. So I've listened to lots of psychology lectures and read lots of stuff, also like research papers on this topic, because I think if one person lacks the willpower to stay on track, and it's not necessarily because this person is like not motivated to live healthily or to reach his or her goals, it's often just because of the really stressful lifestyle we have that the willpower gets depleted. For example, in the morning, most people have lots and lots of willpower because actually sleep, it refills the willpower. But then the further the day progresses, the less willpower we'll have, just because we have to use it up for our work, or also for things like if you get stuck in a traffic jam, or you have to wait for a really long time in a queue in a shop. Everything requires willpower, just not to freak out and just tell whatever you want to have or to do. And often people end up by the end of the day just with like little willpower. And that's when most people fall off the wagon. In the morning, everything starts great. They follow their healthy diet, but then they fall off the wagon. And that's what I look into, how to prevent it and what strategies one can use just to keep kind of willpower throughout the day, and even in worse situations possible, to prevent falling off the wagon and losing control, and actually start overeating or eating junk food, or not going to the gym, not exercising. So everything is kind of one whole thing. And I think even if someone gets like a really amazing science-based diet, but because of all the lifestyle factors like stressful job, also really busy schedule, also with family and kids, if it's not really possible to follow this diet, then there's absolutely no point. And for me as a coach, it is so important to look at the lifestyle first. So of course, I look at the science and people as individuals when I write diet plans. But first of all, I look at the lifestyle the person has to see if it is doable, where I look at the willpower and also the chances that someone can fall off the wagon. And yeah, what to do against these willpower depleting tasks. All the decisions you make every day, they actually deplete your willpower. For this reason, it's so important to have a routine, because some research studies have actually shown that, for example, going and shopping and deciding what you are going to buy, it actually depletes your willpower. It's really exhausting. And if you have a strict routine from the beginning on, it is actually more helpful than harmful, because many people, also when they see my diet, it's like, oh, what do you eat? Do you eat the same thing every day? Do you eat all the time like your, weird meals with protein? And it looks like as if you wouldn't have enough freedom. But to be honest, kind of restriction or discipline or like a strict routine, that is the freedom. That is the freedom that will give you kind of enough power to think about different tasks. That is the freedom that will allow you to work more efficiently, to be there for your family, just because you won't be so depleted in your willpower and you won't be so stressed because of all the dietary decisions you need to make. And I think that restriction is actually, makes everything so much easier. For me, for example, I'm vegan. So when I go out with my friends, then, everyone is like, yeah, but, do you have enough stuff to eat? Or you don't have so many choices. And actually, I'm happy about it that I don't have so many choices, because before I went vegan, it took me ages to choose whatever I want to eat in a place. It took me ages because I wasn't sure what I want to eat. And then you have, after you order something, you get all those regrets. Oh, maybe I should have eaten the other thing, or I should have ordered the other thing. It would have been tastier, or it would have had fewer calories, or what if, what if, what if. If I have just one choice, then I'm actually at the end a much happier person, because I don't beat myself up at the end. What if would be if I would have done something differently. So I think actually, in my opinion, like the limiting food choices as a vegan when you go out, at least to most places, for me, it's an action advantage. And this applies also to like lots of situations, and also when you're likely to overeat. If you don't have such, high variety of choices, also the likelihood of overeating is lower, because we get bored with all the same food most of the time. So if you have, I don't know, one package of cookies at home and you still have some willpower, then you can try one cookie, you can eat second one, but then usually you have willpower to resist. But if you have 10 different types of cookies at home, you want to try one, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. And at the end, you end up eating so much more. Also, what I figured out, what is also really important, is actually the texture of food. I've run lots and lots of experiments on myself in the past weeks when I tried to figure out, why do I crave certain foods? Why do I eat certain foods? As I already told, I eliminate, or like I stopped buying lots of things like 2 months ago, just because I knew I will move, so I don't want to waste any food. And that's when I realized that I started getting food cravings, and I didn't have before, because before my diet was fine, I love what I eat. And now suddenly, when I couldn't prepare the food I usually prepare. I started getting food cravings for completely different food. Sometimes like, I don't know, bread or cookies or chocolate or peanut butter or whatever. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I need to figure it out. So basically, then I kind of really analyzed my behavior. I'm really happy that I have this ability as a scientist to kind of disconnect my analytic mind from my emotional mind. So if I think about something or if I do something, I can actually analyze my behavior at the same time. And what I realized is that I often crave texture. It's not necessarily about, for example, starches or sugars. Often it's actually about the texture. The interesting thing with sugar is, taste-wise, I actually prefer artificial sweeteners because I used artificial sweeteners for such a long time, so my taste got used to it. So when I crave sweets, I crave most of the time actually the sweetness from artificial sweeteners, just because I got used to it, and you can see how you can train your body. But what I couldn't get in the last few weeks was actually this bready texture, because I usually use lots of white whole wheat gluten for pancakes, for protein bread, and that's where I get this really nice doughy bready texture from. And I really like kind of this moist bready texture. And when I ran out of gluten, I was like, okay, I don't need to buy it now, there's no point. And at this moment, I started craving bread. And I was like, what's going on? Because, I didn't crave like normal bread for a really long time. Why do I crave it now? And the interesting thing was, it wasn't just like normal bread or like any bread I craved. When I went in the shop, I just wanted to have a specific bread. And I was like, okay, there's something going on. I need to figure out. So I got this bread. It was actually not on my, kind of meal plan, or usually if I get something I usually don't get, I try to get a really small package, but that was actually a huge package of bread. And I was like, okay, I shouldn't be buying it. It's a really bad idea because I will probably eat more than I should, but I need to figure it out. Why do I want to have this one specific bread and not any other? And what I figured out was that there was, like, if you imagine there's this piece of bread, you have a crust on top, on the bottom, and then on the sides that were like really soft, kind of moist parts, which had actually just this one bread. They were like really elastic, so really, you can kind of stretch them. And when I ate the bread, I was like, okay, I need to analyze it. Why did I want to have this one? And actually, I realized that I just wanted to have those parts on the side because they tasted the best. And that's how I realized, okay, it's kind of the texture I have also in my protein bread, and also I have in my pancakes and crepes when I do them. And I usually love, I don't know why, but I love eating like more like bready stuff with hands. So usually I also like to eat foods in isolation, because if I put, for example, peanut butter on bread, I don't taste the flavor of peanut butter enough and flavor of bread. I'm not sure if it's just about me that my taste buds aren't really sensitive to it, or if other people have it as well, but I realize that I can enjoy food more if I kind of eat it, first peanut butter, then bread, but not bread with peanut butter, because then I can't really taste bread and I can't really taste peanut butter. And that's what I realized kind of with this bread experiment. I wasn't really craving bread or carbs because I had also enough carbs on this day. And I have been out in the city during the day and I had some vegetable sushi, so I knew I had enough carbs. And that's another interesting thing. If I crave carbs, it's mostly, again, bread. And I almost never crave potatoes or rice or any other starches. So this way, I could actually exclude that it's about this nutrient, carbohydrate, or even starch, but it's actually about the specific product and the specific texture. And another interesting thing, I realized why I crave chocolate. Uh, I really like also some kinds of chocolates that have no sugar, so they are artificially sweetened. So I don't usually, if I eat something with sugar, I especially if there's lots of sugar, I get straight away kind of a signal in my brain. It's like, okay, it contains sugar. So I really notice it. But I like also chocolates that have no sugar. And I was like, okay, it kind of doesn't really make sense. But then again, I analyzed my behavior and I thought that I actually like this kind of really thin chocolate buttons that were like, they're kind of crispy, you can break them. So again, it was about texture. It wasn't just about like any thick chocolate I wanted to have. No, it was like about like really thin chocolate pieces that had a certain mouth feeling. And I think it's also so important, if you realize that you crave some food all the time, to find out why you crave it. And it's the same thing for me for peanut butter. I like crunchy but not smooth peanut butter because, again, of this crunchiness and of the texture. And if you can kind of, separate it and start distinguishing why you crave certain food. Is it because you're hungry, or you, I don't know, are on a low carb diet and don't have any carbs for a really long time, so your body actually wants carbs? Or is it about a certain nutrient, for example, like sugar, that can actually refill your willpower when you're doing a real stressful task and you're really stressed and your willpower decreases? Then actually sugar can replete your willpower. Is it kind of about this function of this food? Or is it about the texture of this food? Would you, anything that is kind of, I don't know, crunchy? Or some people like all kind of, I don't know, jellies, like, just jellies. It's also like you have them for a while in your mouth and they release sugar slowly. Or are you a person who prefers, I don't know, crunchy or doughy or jelly texture, at least in a certain moment? If you understand when you crave certain foods, then it's also really easier for you to find alternatives how to replace them. For example, for these jelly things, I've recently tried dried apple rings, and they work actually pretty well. So they have also kind of similar texture, and they also release sugar, but they have also fiber and are definitely healthier. Then, for doughy stuff, you can always take, white wheat gluten and make your own protein bread, which is like much, much macro friendlier. For crunchy stuff, for example, I also love cereals, like those really crunchy ones, and I don't like to eat them with milk. So I usually, just eat them as a snack, just in a dry form. And it's again about this crunchiness. Then in this case, if I start craving them, I would just bake my own crunchy protein cereals. And I think it's like really important to analyze your own behavior and understand what food you crave and why. And the same with situations. What makes you fall off the wagon? For me, it's most of the time if I don't have a plan. If there is a new situation and I didn't think of it in advance, and then I go somewhere and have no idea what I should do, or I don't think about my future, what I will do in 1 hour later, that what makes me falling off the wagon, just because I do whatever comes into my mind, which can be like really impulsive decision and not really analytical ones. And or if I don't know, go out with friends, or I'm somewhere at the party and I, for example, start eating and speaking to people without really realizing what I'm doing, when I'm distracted from eating because I'm maybe speaking to my friends, or maybe even watching TV, working at my computer. That's why when I eat usually meals, I try to focus only on my meals. So I don't have any computer next to it. I don't go on social media. I don't even listen to any YouTube videos. The only thing I listen to is music, just because I don't like real silence. And I realized if I'm not satisfied with a meal, so if I didn't really enjoy it, I could keep eating forever. So for me, it's really important to have this like meal time where I sit down, I enjoy my meal, and then I'm fine to go on and do whatever I want. Because if I if my brain doesn't really realize that I'm eating, I could just eat forever. And there was actually a research study on this topic where they've given people lunch, and one group had to really focus on their lunch and eat it mindfully. Another group was reading newspaper, and the third group was thinking of something else. And then everyone was giving cookies in the afternoon. And the people who focused on their lunch ate fewer cookies than the people who were distracted. And it's absolutely the same for me. If I work and eat at the same time, I don't realize that I eat. And I could actually keep eating forever. That's why it's so important also for me to have, if I have a meal, I have to enjoy it. Also, I realized if I get something new or I cook something I didn't know and I expect it to be like super tasteful, and at the end I'm not so happy with it, maybe like the texture didn't turn out well or the taste, then even so I had this meal and the macros were exactly how they should be and everything that should be, but I wasn't really satisfied with this meal, I can go and continue eating. So for me, it's probably also like a psychological thing. It's better not to eat at all if I, don't focus on this meal or don't get the satisfaction I really want from this meal. So there are so many things, and it's actually really interesting in my opinion, because it's also like for many people there are like similar things, but the collection of the things you have, it's individual for you. So it's different for many people, and the best thing you can do for yourself is just observe your behavior, observe what you do, what you think, and being honest to yourself. And that are all the things Abel and me are going to speak on Saturday. So we are also working on the cheat sheets and also worksheets that will make it easier for you to figure out actually why you're overeating in certain situations, or what are the certain situations you're overeating and what can you do against it, or what foods are the trigger. Yeah, so I really look forward to the live stream on Saturday, and I hope to see you there. And now it's bedtime for me, so I will go to bed. And have a wonderful evening, day, morning, wherever you are. See you on Saturday.